Hey guys, it's been a while since I put out a post-workout video, and I definitely owed one. So here it is. Probably good timing, seeing that we've seen some negative price action from HEX. A couple of you out there may be thinking, oh, hold on a minute, weren't we supposed to be seeing some onwards and upwards movement? Ben told us to expect some really great things from HEX price movement over the next couple of weeks. Why on earth are we going down? You've probably guessed it. For me, it's just very short-lived. I didn't think we'd ever see 5 cents again. So again, thank you to all the weak hands out there who have offered me another chance to accumulate and continue accumulating at a much lower price point. But this is fresh off the back of some predictably bearish news from the SEC. In case any of you, have been under a rock and you haven't listened to these announcements or news, whatever you want to frame it as, they've basically outlined why they believe that big institutions, big money are going to be hesitant to jump into crypto in the next couple of months or years because of all the regulations, the limitations, XYZ. I think they're full of crap, honestly. Anyone who's been around the block a few times kind of understands that when you're looking to plot a course in wealth, the SEC isn't necessarily the innovative or creative voice you want to listen to. I think at worst, this is outright message manipulation and misleading of the public, which tends to be the trend, and at best, very, very wishful thinking from them. I can only go on my past experience and even the conversations as of late that I've had with my network, lots of which are at these, some of the biggest institutions in the world, and they are doing anything but staying away from crypto. They are very, very eager and excited about some of the new potential asset classes coming down the pike. And I think it's always important to note as well that anyone who is looking to plot, a path to wealth, you listen to the voices that you should be listening to. The SEC, the regulators are not typically that voice, especially within one jurisdiction, within one piece of the world being the US. And that piece of the world seems to be at present one that's lagging far behind other regions when it comes to adoption of this new evolution of finance. And so, when you listen to folks like Larry Fink, we talked about him before, and many others out there who are the heads and the CEOs of the biggest institutions in the world, talking about the next evolution of the next evolution of finance revolving around, or the next generation of finance revolving around tokenization and many of the other new asset classes that are coming to play. That's really who we should be taking our cues from, in my opinion. As much as I'm sure Gary Gensler has everyone's best interests in mind, I don't know if that's the voice that is necessarily going to be plotting the true path forward. Just my opinion. But to anyone out there who has got, slightly weaker hands or is feeling on the fence and a bit more of a fickle mood because of SEC saying what they do, this is exactly the type of media manipulation that we can expect. We take it from people who've been here for a little while. The wind blows and the wind changes a lot, and it's always going to want to suit the positions that some of these larger institutions and the big money, have. And when they're situated somewhere, that's when we can expect the winds to change. So it wouldn't surprise me, even from the SEC's perspective, as soon as a lot of this money, the money that matters, the government money, is situated correctly now during this bear cycle, or even if we are starting the bull market, that big money is going to change direction. It's going to be situated. It's going to be wanting to manipulate, as many of us as they possibly can, until the time comes where they can say, hey, you know what? We're bullish about crypto. We're adopting this in the right way. We're doing X, Y, and Z. And in which moment, you already want to be situated too. So if you're already paying attention, this is probably information that you don't necessarily need. Maybe just a good reminder to stay vigilant and confident, especially for us who are in this ecosystem, right? For us who are already holding HEX and continuing to accumulate. Right now, I just see this as a couple cents discount from where we were a week ago. And again, prices that I don't think we'll see again. Look, we could drop even further, and that in itself in the long term will be very, very short-lived. But for me, as soon as some of these catalysts start coming down the pike, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We want to be cognizant too that, while it's all very well to be somewhat dismissive of some of the SEC at this moment because it doesn't impact us too much, further down the line, I'm talking the next cycle and the cycle after that, there is a lot of runway here for regulation to come into effect globally, right? The crypto market is always changing. It's always looking to adapt. And I don't think a lot of that regulation is necessarily a bad thing. But what it does mean is that we're not going to be in cowboy land for much longer, potentially. And so, you know, right now, when you see opportunities that you think have legs, you've done the fundamental research, you know, you've decided yourself that you think it's a good, viable option to expand your portfolios, to expand your wealth, it's probably important to be pretty aggressive. And I know aggressive is relative to everyone's circumstances, but if you know, you can quote me on a previous quote, right, where it's, if you want to see some significant gains, you've got to have some significant skin in the game. And again, you know, it's all relative to your own financial situation right now. But I will say that anyone who's on the fence, who's dipping their toes, if you're convinced about this play, if you're convinced about any plays right now in this moment in time where we have a lot of price appreciation across the board in front of us, now's not the time to be shy. You know, you don't want to be jumping in when we start seeing some green candles, because you've already missed out on the multiples that, you know, could form a pretty substantial portfolio with relatively little. So don't let any of this media manipulation put you off. Don't let the SEC put you off. Just understand that, you know, this is all cyclical in nature. We're still going into what will be a notorious bull run. I think the biggest bull run to date, because of all the institutional money that's going to come in. Whether the SEC choose to acknowledge that or not, whether it's, you know, just outside the US or very much inside the US too, due to the creative minds that are at these institutions that don't want to be left behind the rest of the world. I think it's inevitable. That's just my 2 cents again. You could be a diehard SEC Gary Gensler fanboy. You could have, you know, posters on the wall and wearing his t-shirts out. Fine, you know, everyone is in control of their own decisions. But I'm going to say to those of you out there who are listening right now, nothing's changed. I'm as confident as ever. My conviction is there. You know, even with HEX, even though we've seen some immediate kind of downward price action on the back of this, the fact that we're still post 5 cents is extremely bullish. Most of us didn't even expect that before any kind of testnet v3 mainnet announcements. It's definitely we're definitely in a good situation. So there's my 2 cents. Nothing's changed. You know, I'll start putting out some more frequent postings, let's say, of some of the conversations that I'm having, hopefully, as soon as I get the go-ahead to start speaking about them publicly. But just so you know, it's not just the banks and the fund managers that I'm speaking to. I've been speaking to some private companies who are looking to allocate some of their own portfolios to crypto in a much bigger sense, and they're taking their cues from the Larry Finks of the world. You know, when I told you that this kind of news, you know, this kind of tokenization and the freeway that's just opened up for some of this big institution money to come rolling in has created some excitement throughout traditional finance, throughout traditional corporations. I really mean it. And again, this is just the sample set that I have within my network, but I like to think that a lot of the folks that I'm speaking with are kind of in conjunction with their wider networks, and they're taking their cues from, you know, some of the biggest players in the world. So I'm confident. That's all I can say right now. You know, I'm super confident. I think we're in for some real nice price appreciation ahead of us for HEX. And I think that anyone who was foolish enough to sell on the back of some SEC news, and I'm sure it's a lot of traders out there who will get back in. Maybe they sold, you know, they're at 7.5 and they're looking to get back in at 5. Who knows, right? But for anyone out there who doesn't have a trading mentality, who isn't sat next to their computer screen every single moment of the day, just hold, continue to accumulate. That's what I'm doing, because this is one of those rare opportunities where, and I've said it before, right, the writing's on the wall for me. So I'm going to continue to accumulate and reap those sweet returns, you know, when all these catalysts come into play. All right, I'm being redundant now, so I'm going to leave it there. But hopefully that was a bit of a reminder for everyone to stay true to the course. You know, I'm seeing some real positive things ahead, so everyone should still be confident. Don't pay too much attention to the SEC. Yes, they're important for a lot of things, but when designing a path to wealth, certainly in crypto, certainly when it comes to an evolution in finance, the US seems to be trailing behind a lot of other areas and regions of the world. I don't know if that's necessarily the voice of reason that I'm gonna pay too much heed to. All right, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.